warm
Wonderful.
enough.
It's wonderful. The water was very warm a few weeks ago. Well, very warm. I shouldn't put it that way. You guys would probably all find it cold, but yeah,
How
it was
warm
much.
is very warm?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. It's not icicles around your ankles when you step in, like it sometimes is. It's better.
It's all relative, isn't it?
It's all relative. That's right. You can swim around and warm up. I mean, it always feels cold when you start.
Yeah.
I don't know what the temperatures are. What are the temperatures in the water where you are?
Now it's about the coldest it gets, which is 14 degrees. Not as cold as when I was in North England, midsummer, 12 degrees.
I think this is like between 14 and maybe 16
or something.
Tight around here, maybe not 17, but yeah, similar territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you did it in Northern England. I saw that. No wetsuit?
No wetsuit because we didn't want to have to carry it. Yeah.
Well,
Straight back to a hot bath, yes.
Yes, exactly. Steaming.
And let's see if Ajahn is here. Ajahn, are you here now?
Yes, สวัสดีค่ะคุณแอน
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
So no matter the daily life topic, just talking about different dhammas,
Right.
without the different dhammas, without the different namas and rupas, no ideas of swimming or ocean or hot or cold water. So just life goes on.
It does. I was reading something this week. Actually, it was on. Somebody had transcribed part of a discussion in Thai onto Facebook, and I clicked the translate because I can't read it in Thai. But it was about feeling, and it really caught my attention, or at least the translation did. And it was it plays such a big part in how we behave, in what we do, in what we think. This was translated as big emotions. And I think that's, I don't know whether it's an accurate translation, but it gets the point across. So I was thinking about it and wondering, I mean, feeling does, it's almost like being, pulled along by something. We're pulled by our emotions. We follow them so frequently. And it's, I know Vedana is a Jaitasika, and you've, got the bodily, pain and the mental, and the same with the Domanassa, Somanassa, and Upekkha, which I don't think I don't notice. Anyway, to what if are the feelings accumulated in some way? I mean, I know they're not anusaya, and they're probably related to the object, and it may be memory which brings it all back, but it was it sort of, I started thinking about it and been impressed. It has struck me that it has so much to do with conventionally what we do and how we see the world, and yet it's only a Jaitasika that arises and falls away with all jitas. So the thought went through my head, and I know it's wrong, but is it a leader in its own way?
I'll say a few words first. So actually, when we're talking about indriyas, leaders in different ways, like the sense spaces are leaders, and the Vedana, the feelings are leaders, because they are so important. And so, of course, as you mentioned, Vedana arises with every chitta, kusala, vipaka, kiriya. So when it's vipaka, Vedana, it doesn't accumulate, it's just result. finish. But when it's kusala or akusala, when it's the pleasant feeling with attachment now, it accumulates conditions more pleasant feeling, more attachment. And when it's the pleasant feeling with understanding, it also accumulates. So kusala and akusala, the Lobha accumulates, the Vedana accumulates, the Sanya, the marking, what is experienced, accumulates. So it accumulates, so there's more clinging to that pleasant feeling and conditions for the pleasant feeling to arise again and again whenever one tastes a desirable object, for example. And
conversely,
the unpleasant feeling, when there's dosa, the unpleasant feeling accumulates more and more unpleasant feeling at those times. So it is a leader. It's very important. We pay so much attention, mind so much about the feeling, spend all day looking for pleasant feeling, looking for tastes with pleasant feeling, visible objects, sounds, always looking for pleasant feeling, finding it matters so much. But in fact, the feeling now, no matter pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, is gone instantly. So it's always looking for the Vedana that isn't there, that's gone.
And thinking you might like to, trying, although it doesn't do any good, to avoid the
unpleasant and trying to have the pleasant with the wrong idea that I can make pleasant feeling arise, not understanding the nature of karma, not understanding the nature of accumulated tendencies, not understanding I to do anything, just depends on conditions at this very moment, whether the Vedana is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Nothing to be done about it.
So is Vedana, when I think about tendencies, I don't always think about Vedana, or is it the memory that keeps bringing it back? Not bringing it back, but it arises. Certain things arise, and the memory, I guess, sanya plays a part in the feelings, similar feelings arising.
Because the sanya conditions the thinking about certain objects. The attachment conditions the Vedana, so that's why attachment is one of the anusya. Without the attachment, there wouldn't be the pleasant feeling that arises with it. But because of memory, there's thinking all the time about what is a pleasant object, what is a desirable object. So they condition each other. Yes.
Thank you. That helps. It was a bit of a chore reading through this English translation that appeared on Facebook. And if you knew nothing about the Dhamma, you'd think it was garbage. But after reading it a few times.
And like you say, emotions is misleading as a Google garbage translation, because when people talk about emotions, they're talking about, depression and ups and downs and thinking, and no understanding of actually what Vedana is.
Because
one reads through
I was able to figure out what it was for sure, but there was one that was worse than that. I can't remember what it was, the translation. But it interested me enough that I was trying to work it out, not what feelings meant, work out the English.
Some of them are very funny, yes. And let's see if Ajahn would like to add more about Vedana and your topic.
Now we can see the way the understanding develops its way from no attention to Vedana before, and then it can be a moment of paying attention to a reality which feels. That's the way Dhamma develops, the understanding develops, not to think about other things, but it just begins to think about feeling as just what is it. And we don't have to say the Pali term for Vedana as feeling, but the moment when it's there, Is it great? Is it Indriya? Because at that moment it's so very important more than other things, because it feels such and such manners. That's why the teachings to understand what are there in life is the most important. Not just learn about the way it is and so on, but at moment when it's there, to be object of attention, to understand the nature of it as Dhamma. Whatever is real, it's real, and it's there. Show up to Panya only to at the degree that it can understand that moment, that it's object of understanding. When there are enough understandings and conditions for the moment of understanding the characteristic of it a little more clearly, so very, very subtle. That's why it's time now begin to talk about feeling, and there can be more understanding of feeling, to let go the idea of I feels, or it's the reality which is there. So very important. Otherwise, we don't talk about it. We don't care or mind it at all, whether it's what kind of feeling. But the word upadana can condition moment of understanding, that there is clinging to feeling all the time, when it's not known as it's there by conditions and gone, never to return at all. So the Panya works its way, so very, very subtle, unknown. When will the time to think about it? When will the time to understand it a little more? When will it be the time of directly understanding the nature of it with awareness? Begin to develop, to understand, to be acquainted to the nature of feelings. It's just that which is not I or anything at all. That's right. We listen and Panya develops on its way until there can be a little more understanding of what is said and what we have heard before. For example, Upadana Kanda, see, it's Kanda that can be understood separately from the other, like Vedana, feeling, Sanya, so very important, and Sankarakanda, all other realities that can be known one by one as Panya develop to begin to attend or to think about it in different aspects. By conditions, unexpectedly, what will be the moment of thinking about that? But it begins to see that there can be a moment of attention to be attention to the reality which feels now. But it depends on conditions again, whether when will it be there, attending to what kind of feeling right there. Who knows? By conditions. That's the way to understand the truth, not by anyone, but by the development of right understanding right now, that is just a reality arising different from other realities because it just feels. See, that's all. It's the sign of the development of right understanding. So very gradually, because so much to learn. There are so many moments in a day not attended at all. That is just a reality until it begins to think about and attend to the feeling in different levels. For now, we talk about the levels of understanding that is just a reality, which is so very important too in life. So it's Indriya, no matter what kind of feelings. And that can be a moment of understanding the difference between the mental feeling and the bodily feeling. Little by little, it's now developing to condition more moment of beginning to think about, to attend to what is there as just it hasn't been attended before. Little by little, that's the way right understanding develops. Otherwise, there will never be a moment of even thinking about seeing it, about feeling at all, or anything now at all. It's there as yesterday and the other days. But what moment is there? Begin to attend to what has been heard and what has been learned. And now it's there, the object of thinking. And more, it can be the object of understanding. And a little more, it can be the object of awareness with right understanding. Very gradually, but all have to be by conditions, anatta. Otherwise, there will never be the understanding of Dhamma, and there will never be understanding that actually everything now cannot be taken for something or someone or I at all. Very gradually. And daily life is a proof how much thinking about what is that. Even right now, no expectation, but learn to understand that without understanding of what is there gradually until it can let go the idea of something or someone or I at any moment unexpectedly. The development of understanding the anothness gradually develop so very little, but it's so true, the only way to realize the truth of each word that we heard about, what is there now. For example, feeling. What feeling is there, see? No one can condition moment of thinking about it at all. All depends on conditions. Even feeling, and then gone. All dhammas are anatta. It's now developing very gradually, unknowingly, before it can let go the idea of something in a day, no matter what, until all are dhammas, all are anatta. And that is the fourth noble truth, the path leading to understand the truth of what is there right now, which is covered up by ignorance and attachment years and years ago. So it takes years and years life or moment or samsara to develop the letting go, the samsara with ignorance and wrong understanding. So now it's not just in the book, it's there now. Feeling, see, begin to understand the Dhamma right now. But it's not directly yet. It just knows that it has to understand that which appears, not that which is gone or that which hasn't come yet.
It reinforces the huge value of discussions and the listening and the discussing, because I hadn't thought of it in the kinds of words you used, John, that it's conditioned for more attention by
And
conditions as to what.
So gradually, so very
Yes.
letting go.
Yeah. Yeah, it works its way. Thank you. That's been a very, very helpful explanation or discussion.
And I think the point that's being emphasized that is so helpful is that it's not in the book, and it's not about fixing the translation or trying to name it, but understanding what appears now. And yesterday or on Saturday, Ajahn was emphasizing again that the study doesn't mean anything to do with the book knowledge, but what is there now, what experiences now, what is experienced now, what appears now, not finding the right word, not getting the right detail, but it's here and now, it's Dhamma. Otherwise, there will always be the idea of I and my feeling and something that is experienced, but it has to be what appears now, no matter what kind of feeling. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. There can be understanding of just what appears as Dhamma and then gone. So always back to now.
Yes, the only thing the terrible translation did was pique my curiosity to discuss it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so.
Well, even that, even a poor translation can be a reminder about
Oh,
Dhamma
absolutely,
now,
absolutely,
what is now. Yeah.
Absolutely. All these reminders help, regardless of the form they come in.
Otherwise, one just is put off or mind so much about the translation or the words that are used or the terminology or the accent or the pronunciation. But what about now? What appears now?
Exactly.
And even at that moment, even if one is put off by the translation, what about the dosa then? What about the unpleasant feeling then? It's all about now, anytime, any place.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you. One never knows what might condition something else. Thinking about something triggers and conditions thinking about something else, and may be valuable, may not, but they're all different, all moments of, I guess that though, in that case, they're all moments of thinking.
And it can be endless thinking. One friend at the end of the discussion on Saturday talked about or brought up the topic of some unpleasant experience. Maybe she'd had a fall or there was some difficult circumstances. And Ajahn was emphasizing that if it's not known right now, what appears is endless thinking on and on, one topic after another.
Right.
Working out this, working out that, trying to check the dharmas, thinking about one situation or other, instead of just understanding what appears right now.
Well, and it all covers up. Covers up isn't the right word. While that is happening, the continuous thinking is I think I'll probably not get the right words here. We don't care about words. Gosh, where's it gone? Yeah, I'll go back a step. Just like feeling and attachment to feeling covers up, can we say, the other realities that appear. You don't, they're not known moment by moment, but the more attachment there is to particular thoughts or feelings, the more they just travel on, these thoughts and feelings, without. So I don't think cover up, well, it could be the right word, or inhibit, whatever. But
Distracts from.
Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah.
Upadana Kanda, as Ajahn mentioned, clinging to the feelings, clinging to the memory, clinging to the attachment to any of the mental factors, clinging to the thinking all the time, clinging to the various rupas, what's seen, what's heard, which distracts from just understanding what appears now, because with the clinging, one's just lost in the story about what is felt, what is seen, what is remembered, what I should do, which way the thinking should go, instead of just understanding thinking as just a Dhamma, seeing as just a Dhamma, Vedana, feeling as just a Dhamma, each one gone instantly. So it is covering up The clinging and the ignorance covers up the truth.
Right. And the feelings cover up the clinging and the ignorance. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. This is very helpful.
Finding the feelings, the Vedana, is so important, that understanding of the truth because of that strong clinging and wishing so much to have certain feelings.
That's right.
Understanding of whatever it is that's appearing now.
And whatever we
Because
think.
any Vedana is just Vedana. Any feeling is feeling. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yes.
But the clinging minds a lot.
That's exactly, I was going to say something like that. It does mind a lot, because the reason it's the reason, the pleasant feeling is the reason for the clinging, and that is definitely the reason for not seeing. Oh, I can't even remember the word you used, Jonathan.
Distracting from
Thank you.
understanding.
Right. Yes.
Distracted by clinging all the time.
Yes. And by the and feeling, they go together. As I was thinking about this, because the word Indriya had been used, I pulled out the dictionary about Indriya, and I didn't see, or maybe I didn't recognize, the mention that Vedana is an Indriya. I mean, it's very powerful. It would have seemed to me it would be, but that's just classifications and things, and it really doesn't matter.
So it depends which Indriya one is referring to. For example, sometimes just the Indriya, as in the Indriya developed with Satipatthana, the Sada, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, and Panya are mentioned. But actually, there are 22 Indriyas. I mentioned the sense bases, and all of those 5 Indriya that are mentioned as developed with Satipatthana. But there are the 5 Vedana, which are all Indriya, the Sukha, the Dukkha, the bodily pleasant and unpleasant, painful feelings, and the Somanasa, the Domanassa, and Upekkha are all Indriyas. And the sex faculties, the femininity, masculinity, and Jivitindriya. And then there are 3 super mundane Indriyas. So it depends on the classification one's looked at, but definitely the Vedana, whether classified as 3 or 5, are Indriyas.
That's what I would have thought, I guess. Anyway. Yes. Yeah.
If you look in the Nyantiloka dictionary, it has all the Indriyas.
Yes.
If you Google Nyantiloka dictionary, you can find them under Indriya.
Okay, I'll do that.
Maybe I'll copy them into the notes.
Thank you. It's not that it's not the dictionary words are important. It's that I think understanding the powerfulness of or how strongly these things can condition the thoughts, the attachment, that mutual, as you said, mutual conditioning each other.
do we have to follow the book about Indriya or learn to understand what is Arya and
You have
Indriya?
to,
I mean, for example, Chitta is it so great and very powerful or important? Without it, there can never be anything appears at all, right?
yes,
So is Chitta or the reality, the mana or vijnana, it doesn't matter. The reality, which is the chief of experiences, what is now appearing, so very great, powerful. Without it, there can never be anything appearing at all. So if it manindriya, that's why we learn to understand the nature of realities as what is indriya. Without it, nothing appears. So now, whatever is there in life, each moment, all depends on citta, arises and experiences it. So it is the world, the star, and everything because of that which experiences the object. That's why citta is manindriya, one indriya. If you don't have to follow the number by different ways, but understand the nature of indriya, the reality which is indriya. So we don't forget, citta is very powerful, it's very great, because without it, nothing can appear at all, right? Be sure
right.
the nature of indriya, not just the word. So begin to understand the first one, manindriya, and what that's why there are the five upadanas. See, and it depends on which one is indriya in what way. Vijnana khanda, see, upadana khanda, because it's so important. Just learn to understand the nature of it. It's indriya at moment of experiencing what is there, manindriya, and the feeling. Is it not important? Is it not powerful or great? Because it covers up what is there. Because feeling appears so very extinguished and distinguished. For example, at moment of pain, forget about anything at all. The wealth or the fame or the other story. Just painful feeling is there. So great to be indriya. That's why all kinds are indriya. Very important. For example, for those who just like the sensuous object with pleasant feeling, but the other person see the danger and develop higher level, higher plane of citta, which is not as pleasant until it's so calm with indifferent feeling, and so on. So why do we want this and that? Why do we buy this and that? Why do we cook this way and that way? Just for feeling, right? At that moment. So feeling, all kinds of feeling is indriya. Sukha indriya, somanasindriya, domanasindriya, and so on. Five feelings are all indriya. So how many we begin to count what are there? But not just the name, but the
Right.
indriya of the nature of reality is citta and cetasika. Femininity, masculinity, without it, see, no attachment to femininity or attachment to masculinity. And more details about it, when it is indriya as condition, it can condition such and such. But for female and for masculinity, femininity, it's just condition the rupa to appear in different appearance. The I don't know if we can think about the arms or the leg of the man and woman different. See, it, can condition only that to be femininity or masculinity. Is it important? Masculinity and femininity. Would you like to be what kind? I don't want to be masculine. I don't want masculinity at all. For me, see, but someone, even she's born as with femininity, but the accumulation just want to be like a man. See, that's why it's an indriya in that way only. Nothing to do with condition for the chitta, like feeling and chitta and so on. But they are altogether 22 indriya, but these two does not condition like sati and panya and so on at all. That's why we learn little by little about the indriya, not just remember the word or how it's divided. So the 5 feelings all are very important as indriya. Why do you want this? Just for pleasant feeling, right? Or for pleasant feeling. Without pleasant feeling, would you like to have that? What for? See, so learn little by little about the 5 kinds of feeling as indriya, and more than that, if it's that only just the feeling so on, there cannot be the more wholesome moment with sattva. See, it's so very important because it's clean, it cleans up the reality which arises together with it. Without it, citta is so dirty, ugly. See, that's why we learn to understand what are the indriya and whether it is indriya or not yet. For example, sattva to have just very naturally and very little, it's so daily and so on, helping the others to have the food and so on the table and so on. It is not indriya yet, but when it is with right understanding at level of condition, the other reality like sati and other things, to attain to the word of the truth and so on, until it's there with right understanding directly, not just learn about what are there, but directly aware with right understanding of one reality at a time, because understanding that what is there is only one, arising and falling away, never to arise again. And that even there are many things together, only one is the object at a time. That's why we learn to understand the differences between the visual object and the sound and the smell. No one there at all in a day, only different realities, conditioned, arising and falling away, on and on and on, go on all the time, non-stop, until the condition for being this person end. No more. The Jutti Citta arises. And the next moment is Pratisanti Citta. That's why we learn little by little. So now we can understand it more than just feeling. When there is sattva with understanding, sattva, viriya, sati, samadhi, panya. Just as beginning to hear, to consider, it's not the indriya yet. But when it's accompanied by the other Jitasika, like Sattva, when there's more and more understanding, the clear or the clean mind is there more often. With right understanding, it develops gradually, patiently. Vidya has to be there. Otherwise, it's so long. How can one attain the nature of understanding that and that and that? See, it can be moment of discouraged, but in truth, nothing can be discouraged because there's no I. It's the development of right understanding little by little, like natural moment now in a day, all by conditions. Otherwise, there cannot be the understanding what is the moment of sila pramasa, even wrong doing. Trying so hard to gain, to concentrate, to experience that and that. It's useless because it's more idea of self, clinging a little more, a little more, a little more. That's why sattva, after hearing the teachings, the moment of being satipatthana is there. All our indriya, sattva, viriya, sati, samadhi, and panya. See? Learn to understand the truth, and then we can count how many realities we have talked about with understanding, not just take it by word that it's this and that, but in truth there are many levels of reality, even sati. It arises with this moment of satipatthana. And how about the Pativeda, the Vipassana Jnana, different degrees? That is so real, but it depends on understanding. All kinds of kusala to be Bodhi-Dhamma. See, there must be sattva now, clean enough to let go, attachment to do something else, to go away, to read or to play or to watch. See, what is there can be known little by little, but from hearing, considering wisely, a little more understanding, unknown, until it's there thinking about Vedana feeling, for example. And more than that, there can be moment of thinking and moment of hardness. It's there that has to be known because it's there, all gone, quicker than anyone can imagine, and so on. And this is pariyatti, understand the followable truth, especially the way, the path. Now it's the path, it's the way, each moment of understanding only. But when it's not understanding, how can it attend to the object with a little more patience and understanding and considering until it understands very little? That's why there is begin again, begin again. At moments, begin again. It's different from previous moment. Again, it's just a little more subtle understanding. Is this Indriya?
Only when it's the direct understanding of what appears now, when it's just like now, wise reflecting, wise considering about what life is now. It's beginning of understanding, but it has to develop to be really firm, strong, Indriya. But without the wise considering about what appears now, the Vedana now, and so on, the Panya will never develop to be Indriya and then Bala. And as you say, Chitta is so important at each moment in life. So Chitta is always Indriya at every moment in life because it's always the chief and experiencing, no matter at moments of seeing or hearing or thinking, kusala, akusala. Chitta is always the chief, always Indriya. Vedana is always Indriya at every moment. But the sati, the panya, the sada, the viriya are only, the samadhi, only Indriyas at moments when understanding develops directly, the development of satipatthana. And then the 5 sense bases, eye sense, ear sense, and so on, are Indriyas because of the great importance. Everyone is so afraid of losing eyesight or hearing without eye sense, without ear sense, no seeing, no hearing. So they are indriyas, so essential for experiencing of what is seen or what is heard, the objects of great attachment. Even now, the hearing now, the seeing now, all depend on the ear sense, and the ear sense for listening to Dhamma, for seeing now. The indriyas are there. So we can see why they're all referred to as indriyas or leaders.
And Jitta, for instance, it's a leader, but no Jitta, no anything.
No experience at all. So
Right.
at every moment in life,
Right.
Chitta is there experiencing.
Yeah.
The leader and experiencing.
Right.
That's why it's always an indriya.
Right. And the sense bases, it's easy to see that they're indriya. Without them, though, well, it's a different world.
Without them, no experiencing of any sense objects at all.
It just went through my mind. It's only at this stage of anagami where the clinging to the sense objects will be eradicated. Is that right?
Right. No more clinging to those sense objects, but
Right.
still the eye sense and the ear sense, they are still indriyas. Without hearing, without seeing, how can they hear the questions of the other people? How can the Buddha hear questions or see who is being spoken to, for example? So they're still indriyas even when there's no clinging.
It took me a minute to click into that, but yes. If anyone has other topics they'd like to start into, please go ahead.
Just was wondering about Indriyas and the five feelings. Vedana is there all the time, and Domanassa and Sumanassa. It's Domanassa is only with akusala, and Sumanassa
Only with dosa, yes.
Sumanassa can only be can be with either, and Pekka as well, and the other two are Vipaka.
Right.
Yeah, it's I was wondering about Vipaka and they are Indriya in the sense that they are important, like the eye sense and the eye base. And makes the nature of the Indriya as I was explaining the I and the masculinity and femininity and the dukkha Indriya and sukha Indriya. I think that there must be different from the other, like Lumanas Indriya and Samanas Indriya, and so I think that are mostly a kusala reality. Even Somanasa is usually it's Loba rather than kusala. But and of course Sada and Panya and Samadhi can only be kusala. But Sarah was pointing out only with direct understanding. While Dumanasa and Sumanasa are much more common.
And the somanasa can be not just with lobha, but also with kusala, like even moments of kindness, or generosity, or even understanding, like understanding in the development of the path, a lot of somanasa, strong somanasa. So any kind of somanasa. And with regard to the sukha and dukkha, the pleasant and the painful bodily feeling, Ajahn gave an example for the dukkha, the pain, at the moment of strong pain. One is obsessed with it. It just arises for a moment in the body door, viticitas, but this clinging and obsessing and thinking about the pain again and again, one isn't interested at that time in wealth or friendship or all the other things that usually there is clinging to, because one's obsessed with the painful bodily feeling. That's why in the Dhamma discussions, friends always bring up the topic about pain. Oh, I've got so much pain. It's always about the painful situation because we find it so important. And we find it so important because there's so much clinging to the pleasant bodily experiences, minding so much whether it is pleasant or unpleasant bodily feeling, even though it just arises for a moment and is gone. So that's why there are 5 Vedana that we find very important.
Like fear of dukkha, having
because of the clinging to pleasant bodily feelings. So fear and worry about unpleasant or painful bodily feeling, even when it's not there.
No, it's not. That's what the meaning of Indriya. Not
Life revolves around the different Vedana, finding them so important, as Anne said at the start. Distracting from the understanding of just what appears now.
I have a question, please. Good morning, everyone.
Zita?
You just said, the pain, when you experience pain, it's there for just a brief moment experienced, and then it's gone. However, it arises again. or the experience of pain can arise again and again. So the emphasis put on it arises and it's gone. I've always found that really difficult, because if you're in pain, it does seem to go on for quite a while until you take medicine or whatever.
It seems to last, and it experiences the object. So the Vedana experiences, even though it's referred to as bodily painful feeling, it is a nama. It experiences the object that the citta experiences. It's not what is experienced, it is the experiencing of the object with the painful feeling. But as we know, through the body door, the bodily experience of the object is just one citta, and then many other cittas, followed by countless mind door processes with, in this case, domanassa, unpleasant feeling, thinking and dwelling on the pain, and then, as you say, more moments of bodily experience.
Okay,
but,
so that was what you just said was interesting. So the experience of pain, say bodily pain, experience of bodily pain. Like last night, I had this ankle pain, and it was really hurting, and it seemed to go on for a while. So that experience is bodily pain. So it's created either by heat or motion or pressure or something. Is that correct?
Right. So it's the experience of temperature or hardness or motion, for example. So the object is the rupa, the hardness or the temperature, and the painful feeling accompanies the citta. For example, when touching the stove, strong heat is experienced, or holding an ice cube, strong coldness is experienced, and there's painful bodily feeling, the nama that experiences the citta, which touches that heat or that cold at that moment. So that is the painful feeling for that moment. And a lot of what we take for being the painful feeling is the thinking with domanassa, dwelling on the story of the pain. And that's why it seems to last for a long time. But it's just a moment and gone. And so many mind or processes that follow. And then another moment of painful experience. So actually it doesn't last. It's not so permanent as we think at all.
That's
it's always
amazing.
just for a moment. Yes.
Yeah, that's always been one that puzzled me. So I can see what you're saying. I can understand what you're saying, but it probably will still feel like it's lasting. But I can understand. So it's through those mind or processes, there's probably the domanassa again and again as well.
Again and again and again, and the thinking about my painful ankle and my swollen ankle, and long stories about it.
Right.
But actually, the hardness that was experienced with painful feeling and the bodily experience is just hardness. There's no ankle there, no table. It's just hardness that is experienced. But if it's hard enough, then at that moment there's painful feeling, and then gone, and then thinking again and again with domanassa about my bad ankle and so on.
Okay. Oh, that's very enlightening. Thank you. Great.
I think it's so helpful, and just Dhamma's not my experience at all.
Indeed. Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Oh, wow. That is really good.
It is. It's very helpful.
I'm sure I've heard it before, but it's, I've got books and books here of stuff I've written 30 years ago. And I'm going through some of it, and it's like, did I write that? Did I actually understand that? So it's very interesting. There's books and books and stuff.
And it's now, it's right at this moment, moments of pleasant bodily experience, moments of unpleasant feeling with bodily experience and thinking again about, oh, I'm feeling stiff, or I need to move, I'm sitting, it's not comfortable. It's just thinking about such very brief moments, finding it so important.
Right. Well, it's interesting too, because there's some construction, destruction, I call it, going on just outside, across the road. And it's not incredibly loud, otherwise I wouldn't be here on Zoom, but it's just a constant noise happening. And it's like, oh, it's getting to me a little bit. And so it's just sound that's heard. So it's the domanassa and the thinking about it again.
Right.
And,
It's all
not just, it's not actually hurting, but it's more domanassa and dosa, I would say. Yeah.
Because at the moment of hearing the sound, there's just neutral feeling at that moment, not even unpleasant feeling at the moment of hearing the sound. Like you say, it's not hurting. So it's just neutral feeling, but so quickly. Same here, we had some drilling, and so quickly thinking about the drilling noise and is it going to disturb people on the Zoom, and thinking long stories about it. But actually it's only sound that's heard with neutral feeling for a moment.
Yes, yeah.
But the thinking with domanassa and ignorance conditions the idea of lasting unpleasant sound. But actually it's the thinking with domanassa most of the time.
It's really helpful because these guys have been busy for a few weeks on some building down there, and now they're starting on a new one. And I've been watching them, and they're skilled workers, and they're quite diligent. I actually said to one of them the other day, I wish the politicians were as diligent as you, and he kind of laughed. But there's part, even though there's noise and cars going here and there, that occasionally annoys me, but I then focus on the workers. They're working hard, they're probably earning reasonable money to feed their families, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. It's the Dhamma is wonderful. I think it really, some of the time, really helps life go a little easier.
And that's good examples, because at moments of kindness, at moments of consideration, at moments of understanding now, nothing hurts. No domanassa, no disturbance at all.
Yeah. I just saw
so
them.
It comes down to the thinking about me when there's domanassa.
Yeah. Well, a good part of the day is about me, I've noticed, and I think that goes for most of us, really. Perhaps not an arahat, but most everybody else. Okay, thank you. That's been really helpful.
Perhaps Ajahn would like to add more as well.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And what about seeing right now? It seems like it hasn't gone at all day. See? So just what about type of painful feeling? It's not like seeing right now, right?
No, it's not.
So how much is the understanding of that which is there but not appear at all? Like seeing, arising and falling away, and mind are in between, and sometimes unpleasant feeling, not as long as seeing right now. How much is there not known at all? So what appears is only that which can be known through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, only that. What about other moments? See? So we just think about moment of painful feeling for a while, short or long. But what about seeing right now, all day, with mind or in between? Each process. Begin to understand the ignorance avijja, which arise after seeing and in it way, how much it is. That's why understanding the very subtle of reality right now is the only way to let go any kind of desire to wish, to reach, to attain, to realize. Impossible. Only by understanding and the Bodhipakkhiyatama, not anyone at all. So was the no sense of the Buddha Indriya? The
Was that a,
Khanapasatha of Buddha, was it Indriya?
could you ask that question again, please, Ajahn? I didn't get it.
Okay. The Khanapasatha, the no sense, the body, not the nama, the no sense, or we can say in Thai, จมูก Khana Pasatha of the Buddha, was it Indriya?
I don't know, Ajahn.
Why not? At moment of seeing, what is Indriya? The Rupa, which is Indriya.
Oh,
Without the eye base, can they be seeing at all?
no, cannot.
So what is the Indriya at moment of seeing?
Well, it must be that eye base. Chakku
It is
prasada.
Indriya for all, anytime. Nobody can change the
Okay.
truth of it, no matter to whom or of whom or at any time. Even in Brahmaloka, there's no base, no tongue base or body base. But what is there? As Chakku Prasada is the base. Is it Indriya?
It must still be Indriya.
Nobody can change the truth at all. The truth is the truth. It doesn't belong to anyone at all. That's why learn to have confidence of the nature of the anothernness of each reality. Otherwise, I am thinking about it rightly or wrongly, unknown, because it's I is wrong. That's why only right understanding of the truth of what is there from hearing, considering, until it is the moment of being directly aware. And there is a little more understanding than before, no attention to it at all. But at moment of condition to think that it's that which has to be known, to realize, even it's just ordinary, natural, usual hardness, but it's that which has to realize, to be realized. Otherwise, it's something for long, long time ago up to now. That's why, no, not to be heedless, not to underestimate the subtlety of reality, that if it's not the right understanding, begin to be truthful to the truth a little more each moment, thinking about it, talking about it, begin to understand the truth of it, even eventually, but it has to be firmer in all aspects. Otherwise, it cannot let go the idea of self because it lurks here and there all day. And that or this is the only way to begin to get closer to the truth and understand at that very moment what's right and what's wrong, what is sila pramasa. Otherwise, it's there at any time. That's why the more understanding only develops a little more each moment of understanding the truth, to be wiser, sharper, keener, to understand the nature of that without any word. For example, can there be moment of realizing the characteristic of Jakupasata?
I think it would take a great deal of understanding to know Jacuprasada. It can be known intellectually, but like I was going to say, I sometimes remind myself it's just visible object, but that's just saying something. It doesn't, it's a reminder, but it doesn't make anything change. It still looks like flowers outside the window, but
And
it's to
yeah,
hear again and again is really
yeah.
important, I think.
And it's that moment of being truthful to the truth. No matter how much variety is there, it's not enough to condition a moment of direct understanding of what is there, only one reality, with understanding that it's not I, but it's awareness which arises and is aware with understanding. So very, very little. For example, hardness now, even when heard about it, it's real, it's not my finger, but it's there. No understanding of the nature of it yet, but begin to understand the difference between moment of awareness and moment without awareness. That is the very beginning of understanding the reality, not just the word, about what we have talked about, like sati. See, no word at moment when it's there with understanding of a characteristic that has been heard, but it cannot be known instantly. Nothing arises together, only one reality appears. Is that right? So the
Yes.
truth, it is covered years and years ago. Even now, hearing, understanding, is only intellectual understanding. To be truthful to it, no one there at all. So listen again, consider again, understanding moment with attention or without attention, careful or uncareful, or whether it's awareness or not awareness with understanding yet. See, to be truthful all the way, such a parami. All kinds of parami. Otherwise, citta is a kusla, the unknown kusla moment, like seeing right now. Ignorance is there.
Yes, Sachan. Yes.
That's why learn to understand, that's all. And understanding works its way. At moment of understanding, a little more, a little more. Condition, begin again, begin again, begin again, to other level. So very subtle. Until that which has been accumulated years and years and countless years ago can never arise again. Now, see, so it has to be daily life. Nothing is known before. Who will be enlightened and who will be aware what is moment of awareness of what unknown. It hasn't arisen yet. So even the word not concerned about the past or the future. The past has gone and the future hasn't come yet. Is it now? See, now it's now. When only one reality appears, it's now. But when so many realities are there appearing, what is now? Only when awareness is there, arises and is aware and aware with understanding of just one reality at a time until it can appear so well as it is, stage by stage. Is that true? The moment of understanding, which is not just intellectual understanding. No one need anyone to tell that you have learned such great understanding or moment of such and such is whether not I but awareness. It has to be one's own understanding, and in truth, it's the understanding itself with the wise attention to the truth of that little by little.
I think
Never
this,
enough.
I think this is why Buddha said, you know, before he passed on, or you must do this for yourself. Don't just follow blindly. It's something like that. I'm not sure if I'm wording it correctly, but you must find out for yourself if what he has said is true.
And did he say all dhammas are anatta?
Yes, he did, Ajahn, yes.
That's right. Never forget Dhammadara of what is heard
Right.
firmly, so it can condition a little more understanding. That's the way. Without Dhammadara, of just one word of truth, one gets stressed, one gets strayed to this and that by one's own accumulation. And that is the only way to let go, understanding the truth of Dhamma and Anatta.
Yes, Ajahn. I was listening to a recording this morning of quite some time ago, and the person was saying that she had read that to understand was more difficult than having a piece of hair and you shoot an arrow and it splits the hair, and then it's split maybe into 2 or 3 pieces, and then you have to use the arrow again to split the hair again. That, to me, that's impossible, but that's like that truly understanding the Buddha's teachings is more difficult than that. So, you know, that's where I think patience comes in. That it doesn't happen quickly.
That's right. It doesn't matter how long will be enlightenment. That is the only way to let go attachment and cling.
Yes.
And that is the path of the Four Noble Truths.
Yes.
The other idea or belief is not the path leading to understand the truth, which is as Buddha had enlightened, never changed. What arises falls away. What appears is one at a time. So now see much more from the truth, away from the truth that it's now arising and falling away, and no one at all. So how great patience it takes to develop on and on by different kinds of Dhamma, not anyone at all. And this is the path, the only path leading to get closer to the truth, which is right now.
And so thank you so much, Ajahn, for continuing to remind us all of the path, and that is the only way, that noble eightfold path.
So now it let go of a very subtle attachment and ignorance, right? Unknown how much.
Yes, unknown how much exactly.
Patience, Khanti and Viriya and Satya, Adhidana, Nekamma, see, they're all together.
Thank you, Ajahn. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. I appreciate everyone's understanding so much in samsara.
Yes, they're precious words, precious moments, because samsara is long, and who knows, next life could be anywhere. Yeah.
But Dhamma, yeah, Dhamma.
Dhammas, yeah. This is true. Yeah. Yeah.
John, a moment ago, you were talking about awareness and the direct awareness, which arises with the Pati stage, not at the Pariyati. You were mentioning awareness of characteristics of Dhammas, and I can't remember what the example was. Might have been seeing or visible object, but I've never quite understood by awareness what it actually means in this context. I find it easier to think about because I don't know directly, but at the next stage, but the awareness leading to direct understanding is, well, I've never been clear as to what we're talking about there.
It's Vitaka right now.
Yes.
Just think about it. But Vitaka does not show up. The same as we are talking about sati awareness. When it does not arise, show up as it is, not just thinking and so on, like everyday life, but it is aware of a characteristic, a reality with understanding, at some level of understanding. And at moment of the first, or the first, many firsts, because so very short, it's there. What about understanding? So very little. But it can understand the difference between direct awareness. For example, hardness right now. Touching. Hardness is there. No awareness. See? But after hearing again and again, there can be the idea at any time when it's there. It's that which has to be understood, which has to be realized, not just heedless at all. Otherwise, what can be known if it's not that very moment? That is a moment of awareness, different from other moment. At the moment, there's no thought about it, no attention at all, but it's there. And awareness is there because of that is understanding. Awareness is that which is aware of the characteristic of a reality by conditions. And Panya is so very little, but it knows what is the object of direct awareness to be known, to realize, to enlighten.
And if I could just add a brief word and in explanation of what Ajahn has just explained, because as I understand it, she's talking about the awareness that arises together with understanding. And sometimes the awareness is more prominent than the understanding. But you in your question mentioned awareness leading to understanding. And I know that's a popular concept among some people who are interested in the Dhamma. They talk about pure awareness, for example, as something that is then a basis for understanding. But there isn't such a thing as just awareness. It's only, yeah.
When I said leading, that went by me completely. But yes, there isn't. There needs to be some level of understanding with
That's
awareness.
Correct. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
sometimes, as I said, the awareness may be more prominent than the understanding, I think is what Ajahn was saying.
Yes.
And other times it's the understanding that is more prominent in terms of what appears to be known.
Yes. Thank you. That's good to have that articulated like that.
And with regard to your question about what the object of awareness is when it's the moments of pariyati, not the direct awareness of realities, but the object is always just the same. It's always the Dhamma, seeing what is seen, hardness. It's just that when it's pariyati understanding, it's the idea, the concept of sound or seeing now, whereas when it's direct understanding, it's the direct understanding, the direct awareness of that characteristic itself, not the idea of the characteristic. But it's just the same object all the way through, no matter it's pariyati, paripati, or pativeda understanding, even when it's vipassana jnana, it's always just the same reality to be known with different degrees of understanding and awareness.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, no, there's nothing but the Dhammas to be aware of.
Exactly, always.
So what you're saying is that the hardness is just hardness, whether there's no understanding whatsoever or whether there's pativeda. It's still just hard. It's the understanding that makes the difference.
The hardness is always the hardness, and the understanding, even at the very beginning, has to be the understanding of that characteristic of hardness. But of course, in the beginning, it's the thinking wisely about the idea of the hardness. So that's why it is the right intellectual understanding that leads to the direct understanding. But it's always the characteristic of hardness as just hardness, anatta, adhamma. That is the object of understanding of right from the very beginning. So that's why when Ajahn says right from the very beginning, there has to be the understanding of Dhamma, Dhamma as anatta. It is because the understanding right from the start is always of the reality, always of the Dhamma. But in the beginning, it's so little and it's so faint and it's just
so
the
fast.
idea about it that there isn't the firm confidence, and there's bound to be doubt and wondering if that is right. But it is that same understanding that develops on and on of the hardness.
Okay. Wow. Thank you.
Very helpful.
Many useful topics today.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Ajahn, and Amodana, and Sawadika.
I think it's time, isn't it? I've got another one, but next week, later.